Good morning and welcome to Newsroom here on GH1 Television. My name is Awisi Dede. Let's take a look at our headlines this morning. Ghana Journalists Association condemns a 7-day sentencing handed to managing editor of Herald newspaper for contempt of court. And also, Attorney General opposes Wuntumi's request to defer July 3 judgment to Summer Boy case. Minority in Parliament challenges government's account on sentencing of former Maslok CEO Sedina Tamaklo Atienu. In business, farmers estimate close to 60 million cedis lost as torrential rain submerged Veta irrigation rice fields in the Volta region. And on the international front, rescuers continue search for survivors trapped beneath collapsed buildings in Venezuela. We have details of these and many more coming up shortly. Stay with me. Thank you so much for joining us. The news is coming to you live from our Platinum studio here in Accra, and it's also streaming live on Facebook at GH1 TV. I am Awisi Dede. This morning, the Ghana Journalists Association has described as unfortunate the 7-day custodial sentence imposed on journalist and managing editor of the Herald newspaper, Larry Dogbe, following his conviction for contempt of court. In a statement issued on Thursday, June 25, 2026, the association says it is monitoring the case closely and has engaged legal counsel to review the ruling and advise on the appropriate course of action. Mr. Dogbe was sentenced by an Accra High Court presided over by Justice Isaac Addo for defying an interlocutory injunction that prohibited further publications relating to a legal dispute involving Kevin Ochre, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Springfield Exploration and Production Limited and Petraco SA. The contempt proceedings arose from articles published by the Herald on a petition filed by Petraco SA against Mr. Ochre. The DJA says it is seeking to fully appreciate the legal basis of the court's decision before announcing any further steps. Now, still on this, managing editor of the News Center newspaper, Elvis Darko, says press freedom is the oxygen of democracy and therefore journalists must be handled with care. Speaking on GH today, he argued that although the judge had the discretion to hand over custodial sentences to Larry Dogbe, alternative sanctions such as fine should have been considered, especially since the matter is a civil case.
He wrote a story about somebody.
Yeah.
The person said the stories you are writing about me, I think you have defamed me. Yeah. And the person has sued. So for me, in the case of civil suit of that nature, the question I'm asking myself is, yes, send the person to jail is a punishment to offer. But is it the only punishment? Is it possible that the person could have been fined? Could the judge use the opportunity and say, if you are claiming not to have been served, now you are before me, I'm giving you the notice that from today you have been served. And therefore, if after today you repeat it, then I will not be lenient with you. Is it possible for the judge to also issue such a warning? So I've been asking myself, is that the only option available to the judge in terms of punishment? It's a lot of punishment. The oxygen for democracy is the media, is the freedom of the media. Media is the oxygen for democracy. So some of us believe that if we don't pursue the media agenda and try to hold powerful people accountable, democracy will not thrive the way it should.
The managing editor of the custodian newspaper, Awudu Mahama, also weighed in on the matter, saying every effort must be made to ensure that Larry Dogbe does not go to prison. He urged that journalism be recognized as a delicate profession aimed at informing the public and not destroying reputations.
I hope that by, I don't know, I thought that something could have been done even today. If nothing at all, we don't, as we speak now, we have not been able to get in touch with our colleague. We think that by Monday, something should be done about it. By Monday, we would have even done about 5 days. It's a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation. So we plead, no matter what happens, they should see the job that we do. We don't go out there to destroy the reputation of people. Sometimes I think that you have a genuine case based on evidence that you have. And it turns out that your evidence might not be the foolproof evidence. And these are things so that when we do that, sometimes we do a lot of retractions, we do concessions and all that. And it's the right of people when they say rejoinders that you publish them the way they are.
Meanwhile, EIB Network's head of political desk, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, says the matter can affect Ghana's ranking on the Press Freedom Index. He says journalists should not be incarcerated for the work they do. According to him, judges should consider the broader implications of their decisions, arguing that jailing Larry Dogbe would not be the ultimate remedy for parties who claim to have been defamed.
If you are a judge or any member of the judiciary, what I think your attention should be focused on should be the implications of the decisions you take. There's a journalist before you. He's before you because, in his opinion, he's done his work as a journalist. Other parties who are touched by the story believe that they've been defamed. They have come to you for remedy. That doesn't stop the fact that the journalist did his work as a journalist. Now, will jailing the person be the ultimate remedy for the parties involved? Of what implications would that be for the image of the country Ghana? Because as of yesterday, the stories were that a journalist has been jailed for 7 days over a publication he has done. Well, will you be surprised if next year the index comes and then Ghana has lost its glorious position by way of ranking of World Press Freedom Index? You cannot.
Meanwhile, the Central East Regional Police PRO, DSP Victor Dosu, has assured the public that adequate security measures have been put in place to maintain peace following the alleged attack on Obatampa FM. Speaking on News Tonight, he said special police patrol teams have been deployed around radio stations in the area to ensure their safety and security. He urged the public to remain calm, adding that investigations are underway to establish the full circumstances surrounding the incident. It follows an alleged assault on a journalist with Obatampa FM, Mreku Jampo, after a group, reportedly including the Awutu Senya East Municipal Chief Executive and the Central Regional Chairman of the NDC, stormed the station's premises.
There was a certain incident as you are reporting about, and I can say that the police is currently investigating the matter. With respect to the incident that took place at Obatampa radio station this morning, the police had a distress call, and then we had to move in. The patrol team moved in, restored calm, and then ensured that there was peace prevailing. Persons that claim they were, somewhat, they had a problem with some people that entered the place, have been invited to the police station to assist in investigation. So currently, I can confirm that there is a case under investigation at the Central East Regional Police Command. And also, we have maintained 2 patrol teams at the station to ensure that life goes on calmly and everybody is safe.
Well, the minority in Parliament is challenging government's account of the imprisonment of former Maslok Chief Executive, Sedina Tamaklo Atienu. Addressing the press briefing in Parliament yesterday, Mesia South MP Nana Ejei Bafoiwia who dabbles as a member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, accused the government of delaying the enforcement of Ms. Sedina Tamaklo's custodial sentence after her extradition to Ghana on June 9, alleging a 15-day delay in enforcing her sentence. He further stated that Ms. Tamaklo only started her sentence on June 24, which came after the public demanded for her whereabouts. Here, except from the press yesterday.
We can categorically state that until yesterday, the 24th of June, Madam Sedina Tamaklo was not in prison custody. And so from the 9th of June when she arrived to the 24th of June yesterday, she was not in prison custody. That is a matter of record. Again, she was only sent to prison custody, as I said, on the 24th of June, 15 clear days. And that was why the Minister for Interior could confidently come out yesterday. And so if you observe, following her return, the communication was by the Minister for Communication. And that had a lot of controversy. And that is why the media kept pressing. And yesterday, when she was admitted into prison custody, that was when the Minister for Interior came out. We can again confirm that she is in the female prison of a medium prison installation. But we are not going to put the name of the facility out. We are not going to put the name of the facility out for the following reasons. One, our intelligence is that she went in under protest because her assurance was that they were not going to have her go into prison custody and that they were going to work around the clock to have the decision overturned so that she will have her liberty. It is only because of the public pressure that the government has decided to deliver her into prison custody.
The Attorney General has filed processes at the High Court to oppose the prayer by the lawyer for MPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Entry Bosiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, for deferment of judgment in the Samaboy case. This comes after the new lawyer for the accused person, Samuel Atashia, filed a motion asking for the July 3 judgment date to be postponed to give him time to go through everything that has happened in the case. The High Court in Accra had fixed July 3 for judgment in the case in which Chairman Wontumi and Akonta Mining are facing 6 charges, including assignment of mineral rights without authorization. Our legal affairs correspondent, Mutala, joins me on Zoom to bring us up to speed on what we know on this particular case. Mutala.
Hello, Dede.
Good to have you. Tell us more about this case.
So essentially what is expected to happen is that this particular motion that has been filed by lawyers of Chairman Wontumi, specifically Samuel Atachia, is to arrest the decision of the court. Now, the Attorney General is saying that, look, processes start far before the court. Up to now, the lawyers, especially Chairman Wontumi and then the previous lawyers, have adduced all the evidence they need to adduce. The parties indeed have closed their case. The court has then fixed a date for the decision or the judgment to be delivered. We believe that all processes that might have been filed in the case, the lawyer for Chairman Wontumi, the previous lawyer, has all the processes. So if there's some proper documentation that should be given to Samuel Atachia, who is the new lawyer, the previous lawyer is the best place to afford him or to give him, to grant him all the necessary processes that has taken place in relation to this particular matter, without saying, not waiting to say that I'm relying on the processes before the court for the court to serve me before I can file the addresses that I have to file. So basically, what the Attorney General is saying is that, look, the Samuel Atachia should by now have all the processes from the previous lawyer and should be prepared to have the written submission filed if they so wish. And so the AG is kicking against this particular request that the judgment date, the 3rd July, should be adjourned or should be deferred to a subsequent date. But I would say that We do also know that currently, as we speak, 3rd July is a statutory holiday, and so that matter, what would have happened, what it means is that the 3rd July definitely would not happen. The judgment will not happen on the 3rd of July. But the practice is that once a particular case is coming on a specific day, and if that day is a holiday, the next available working day, that case will come out. In this case, we are looking at 5th of July. But of course, on the 29th of June, the High Court will sit and hear that particular motion from Samuel Atachia, and per the indication, the Attorney General is opposing against that request.
Thank you so much, Murtala Inusa, for bringing us a detailed update on that particular matter. Let's still stay on matters relating to court, because the former Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu has filed an action at the Supreme Court seeking to challenge the May 28 proceedings of the court that fixed July 2, 2026 to deliver judgment in a consolidated case challenging her suspension and removal. According to her, a substantial miscarriage of justice has been occasioned to her when she was not given the right to be heard prior to the Apex Court giving the orders on May 28. In an action she filed against her suspension and subsequent removal from office, the Apex Court on May 28 consolidated her case with one filed by Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems, PLB, a civil society organization. Well, on that day, the Apex Court said it would proceed with the hearing and determination of the action when Tokonu was not physically present. And a letter from Godfrey Dame, her lawyer, which it described as defective. The court then directed the registrar of the court to serve a copy of the proceedings together with her lawyers with notice of withdrawal on her personally to file any processes she may wish to file before the date of judgment. The court also proceeded to adopt a memorandum of issues filed by the parties and subsequently consolidated the two actions for consideration and determination on July 2, 2026. The NPP has taken disciplinary action against one of its most influential members, Kennedy Ohene Japan, after a series of public remarks in which he criticized the party's record in government and warned that he could spill the beans on alleged wrongdoing within the party. The comment triggered a wave of petitions from party members, prompting the NPP's National Executive Committee and National Council to refer the former presidential aspirant to the National Disciplinary Committee, which has been given 2 weeks to determine whether his conduct breached the party's constitution and code of conduct. This is a Newsdesk report.
Kennedy Ohene Ejapong, businessman, former Asin Central MP, and one of the New Patriotic Party's most outspoken figures, is facing disciplinary action after a series of public comment triggered outrage within his own party. The former presidential aspirant openly criticized decisions taken by the Akufo-Addo administration. Among the issues that stirred controversy were his remarks about the failure to operationalize the Afari Military Hospital despite significant public investment. He also raised eyebrow after warning that he could spill the beans on alleged wrongdoing within the party if anyone attempted to silence him. These comments sparked fierce debates within the NPP, with many party faithful arguing that such public attacks could derail effort to rebuild the party after its 2024 election defeat. Others, however, insist that Mr. Japan is only speaking hard truth and holding the party accountable. The decision was taken by the party's National Executive Committee and National Council at a meeting on Thursday, giving the disciplinary committee 2 weeks to investigate the complaint and determine whether his public utterances breached the party's constitution or code of conduct. The NPP, which is currently reorganizing and trying to reconnect with its grassroots support, says maintaining internal discipline is essential as it prepares for future elections. The outspoken politician, who finished second to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the NPP's 2023 presidential primaries, remained one of the party's most influential and popular grassroots figures. Its findings expected within 2 weeks could prove significant not only for Kennedy Japon's political future, but also for the NPP's effort to balance free expression with party discipline.
Let's have a conversation on this matter. The Director of Communications for the NPP, Richard Ahiangba, joins me on phone for a conversation on this. Richard, it's always a pleasure to engage you on the bulletin. I want to find out from you, these petitions that came through, can you confirm if they were coming from Parliament or independent party members?
Thank you. Good afternoon to your good self and your viewers. I can tell you there's a petition that came from Parliament and others from individual party members. I think that a total of 10 or so petitions have been received through the General Secretary's office.
A total of 10 petitions? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so these petitions, are they connected to his recent statement he made on the Afari military hospital, or there were a series of comments he has made over the years?
Well, I'm unable to confirm because from National Steering Committee, National Executive Committee, and National Council meetings, the content of the petitions were not discussed. They were, as it were, according to Constitution, referred to disciplinary committee by National Executive Committee, and so nobody at this point knows the content of that. But I can speculate essentially that it probably would be many different issues that will be brought as a basis for the petition and the action being required.
We understand that the petition from Parliament, the minority side, was specifically from the Health Committee in Parliament. Is that true?
I can't deny that, but then it is for Parliament. I think that suffices.
Richard, for the purposes of education, this is the first time Kennedy Japan has been referred to the National Disciplinary Committee of the party?
Effectively, yes, this will be the first time.
So you're certain that this particular time around is going to be different?
I'm not sure what you mean different. This committee will sit on the matter, and they will be privy to what the claims are that have been made by the individuals advancing the petitions. And so they will examine the issues, engage with Honorable Ken, and then their conclusion will be the party's action to be taken. And so for now, I think that I will defer to them within these 2 weeks for them to do a thorough job and ensure that they give the Honorable Kennedy Japan a full occasion to defend himself, appear before them, and at the conclusion of their work, we'll all know exactly which way the party will go.
As the communications director for the party, you're bold and confident that the outcome of this committee's sitting would yield to a good result.
I think a good result is allowing our constitution and our party disciplinary regime to work. And so that in of itself is good result. As for the outcome, whether it is A or B, that is not, the party has no interest in that. Essentially, that our processes are working, that if it is me, I've done something that party members feel that is beyond the pale and therefore require discipline. The disciplinary committee will look at the claims being made against me, and then they will make a determination as to whether there is merit for discipline or basis for discipline. Then they will recommend the action. So the good news is that the party is resolute, the party is strong, and the party is focused on ensuring that there's discipline. So it doesn't matter what the outcome is, but it is a process that is working, and that will signal to everybody that we are in a party, and if you go wrong or there's anything you do contrary to what is acceptable, you'll be disciplined. It's not so much about the outcome, but the outcome in this particular case will be determined by the committee, and nobody knows what their recommendation would be at this point.
Richard, you would also agree with me that Kennedy Ejapon, he was a flag bearer aspirant. He's a big shot in your party. There are some concerns that this will not amount to anything. There are concerns that this is just a formality because Kennedy Ejapon is a big shot. What do you say to that?
Well, not to disappoint you, but in the party, there is no such thing as big shot. The only differentiation between membership in our party is about whether one is a founding member or a patron or just a regular member. That's the only differentiation. And even that, it doesn't give you any exceeding right in terms of you can break the rule and walk away. No. So there's no big shot in the true sense of the word. The same thing applies to our national constitution. The President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is not in any special category when it comes to the laws of our land. He is equal, just as the last person from my constituency, from a small village, from somewhere. We are all equal before the law. So in the past, the law does not recognize a big shot or a small shot. But rather, if you want to make that distinction, then it should be that a big shot has more responsibility and more burden on them to be disciplined in a certain way than a small shot. And so therefore, that will be taken into account. Your comment saying that it's a big shot, I think that it should be a burden on me rather, or on him to see that because it's a big shot, he should conduct himself in a way that serves as an example for the small shots to emulate. So that is the only extent where, if you say big shot, I agree with you. But when it comes to the law and the disciplinary regime of our party, there is no such thing as big shot. Everyone is equal before by the laws or the rules of our party. But, just indulging your question a little bit, that is something that for me is a bit disheartening about the whole thing unfolding. For Honorable Ken, contesting the 2025 parliamentary primaries, if he had won, he would have been our flag bearer.
Right.
And I'm just thinking in my head, and many of our party members may to say that. So, can you imagine Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia doing this to disrupt the environment that Ken would have been our flag bearer, would be pursuing to bring the party together? We didn't like it. And I when people tell me that, I wonder, I say, well, maybe you guys have a point. So maybe Honorable Ken should have thought about this, that I could have become the flag bearer. And if I became the flag bearer, would I like it if Bawumia is doing this, or if Honorable Brad Champo is doing this, or if Honorable Yahweh Duchum is doing this, or Kapna Japan is doing this. And so that's where I see that there is some extra burden that Honorable Ken Japan should have, and discipline should have exercised to know that what he had wanted to become, if he were the flag bearer, he wouldn't like it if any of his contenders were creating this kind of environment, threatening the party and saying he will spill the bean. In fact, there's no bean to be spilled, honestly. There's no bean to be spilled. If I have an issue with individuals in the party, it cannot become the party's problem that myself and let's just for purposes of example, that myself and my deputy, we have a grudge between us. That cannot become the party's problem. And so that's just the place where your question, indulging it, I would say that Honorable Kennedy Paul should have seen that where he has gotten to and what he wanted to become. If he had become the flag bearer, he would want everybody, especially including his contenders, to behave in a way that would facilitate his effort to bring the party together.
Richard, the committee has been given 2 weeks, right?
Certainly, yes.
And this 2 weeks, that's when Kennedy Agyapong will be given a fair hearing, or after the 2 weeks, that's when he'll be called to come and explain his side of the story?
So the committee will deliberate in the 2 weeks, and then their report should be ready in the 2 weeks. So the whole exercise should complete in 2 weeks. And
Kennedy will be reached out to come and tell his side of the story?
The committee will ensure that. It's part of our procedure to do that. The rules of natural justice will operate.
Okay. In an event where the committee's findings suggest that Kennedy be expelled from the party, will the party hit to that?
The committee's recommendation will be carried out to the letter. There's no room for National Council to vary it. The recommendation of the committee will be carried out to the letter. No variation whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you so much, Richard Ahiangba. He's the Director of Communications for the NPP, speaking to me there on the issues surrounding Kennedy Agyapong. Away from that, let's do other stories. President John Dramani Mahama will begin a 2-day working tour of the Central Region this morning. The Reset in Ghana tour is designed to take the president out of Accra and into the regions, facilitating direct engagement with the people. The president's activities begin at Asin Breku in the Asin North District, where he will address a Durbar of chiefs and the people, and also cut sword for a new 24-hour economy market, a flagship initiative of his administration. Accompanied by key sector ministers and government appointees, President Mahama will inspect several critical infrastructure projects, including 4 ongoing road projects in the region. In the Bura Asebu Kwamankese district, the president will inaugurate a CHIPS compound and present free primary health care kits, underscoring the government's commitment to accessible health care. President Mahama will also visit the Cape Coast Castle, where he will use the opportunity to promote heritage tourism and support efforts to attract more domestic and international tourists to the Central Region. The tour will end in a citizens' engagement town hall meeting at Apam Junction. Let's cross over to the Central Region. Our Central Regional correspondent, Yabwijan, is on phone and he joins me with the latest on that story. Yabwijan, good to have you on the program. Has the president arrived? I apologize for that. We were struggling to reach our Central Regional correspondent to bring us up to speed on the president's tour in the Central Region. But President John Dramani Mahama has revealed that the Attorney General is drafting a state asset protection bill to provide a strong legal backing for the management, preservation, and disposal of public assets. The law when passed by Parliament, will tighten control over state property, preventing their misuse, loss, or unauthorized disposal. Speaking at the opening of the Ghana Civil Society Forum at the University of Ghana in Accra, President Mahama explained that the proposed legislation is intended to promote transparency, accountability, and value for money in the handling of state-owned assets.
Accountability and the fight against corruption are essential to democratic consolidation. And I wish to use this platform to restate my commitment to transparent and accountable governance. In my past presidency, I had the privilege of launching the 10-year National Anti-Corruption Action Plan in 2015. And I'm pleased to report to you that just yesterday, Cabinet approved the new National Ethics and Anti-Corruption Action Plan 2026 to 2030 for onward transmission to Parliament. I'm also happy to announce to you that yesterday Cabinet took a decision directing the Attorney General to draft a bill for the protection of state assets. It's called the State Assets Protection Bill. It shows the guidelines under which any state asset can be disposed, including lands, buildings, state assets, factories, industries, so that no government just capriciously disposes of state assets.
This is still Newsroom here on GH1 Television. We'll be back after this break.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
In business, what should have been a season of hope and harvest has turned into despair for thousands of rice farmers under the Veta irrigation scheme in the Ketu North municipality of the Volta region. Torrential rains have submerged nearly 97% of cultivated rice fields, leaving vast stretches of farmland underwater and threatening the livelihood of farming families who depend on the scheme for survival. Farmers estimate their losses at close to 60 million cedis and are urgently appealing to government for support, warning that the disaster could deepen economic hardship and undermine food production in the area. There is more in this report.
Established in 1977, the Veta irrigation scheme is one of the country's largest irrigation facilities, supporting rice production for hundreds of farmers across more than 23 communities, including Apipe, Klenomadi, and Abalavi. The project has over the years witnessed deterioration, poor drainage systems, and inadequate maintenance due to complete neglect by successive governments. The situation has left the scheme vulnerable to flooding. The recent rains have also damaged key infrastructure, cutting off sections of the main feeder road linking farms within the irrigation scheme. More than 2,500 rice farmers are counting heavy losses after days of torrential rains submerged about 97% of the 1,800 hectares of rice farms under cultivation. The flooding has destroyed crops worth an estimated 59.9 million cedis, wiping out months of investment and threatening their livelihoods. Gideon Kukuruku is a spokesperson for the affected farmers.
Our rice are in various stages of growth, but the water came to take all of the whole farm has been submerged. We have 1,800 hectares from section 1 to section 11. We are not in ourselves because everything that we put into the farm has gone.
The farmers are also calling on government to urgently rehabilitate the irrigation scheme, warning that the continued neglect could discourage many young people from engaging in rice farming. Okuruku added that the collapse of a major embankment protecting the farms has further worsened the situation.
We are calling on the government to come and take over and rehabilitate the whole project for us, so that we, the youth, and all other people who are farming here can continue with our farming.
For many farmers, the distraction has also created financial uncertainty as they have to struggle to repay loans contracted to finance this season's farming activities. The flooding is not limited to the Veta irrigation scheme. Farmers in parts of Akachi and Tajevu have also reported extensive damage to rice farms following the recent heavy rains. Benjamin Makafiatipo reporting from Veta.
Dramani Mahama says the government has secured $3.5 billion in fresh investment to revive production after 6 years of declining output. Speaking at the salt curtain for the Phase 2 of the Central Oil Refinery at Tema, the president said the package includes $2 billion from the Jubilee partners to drill 20 new wells and $1.5 billion from the OCTP partners for new exploration activities. Presidential Affairs correspondent Abdul Hanan Adam has more in this report.
The Phase 2 expansion of the Central Oil Refinery is expected to increase its refining capacity from 40,000 to 100,000 barrels per day as Ghana accelerates efforts to process more of its crude oil locally instead of exporting raw crude and importing refined petroleum products. Speaking at the salt curtain ceremony in Tema, President John Dramani Mahama described the expansion as a strategic investment that came at a moment when Ghana's economy was turning around and and investor confidence was returning to productive sectors.
This milestone comes at a particularly important moment in our national journey. Over the past several months, Ghana's economy has begun to turn around. Macroeconomic stability is steadily being restored. Investor confidence is returning, and the foundations for sustainable growth are being strengthened. Businesses are planning with renewed certainty and predictability, and investment is beginning to flow back into our productive sectors. International partners are once again looking to Ghana with optimism and confidence, and so the expansion of Central Refinery is both a reflection of that renewed confidence and a contributor to its continued growth.
President Mahama also says the government has allocated 1 million barrels of crude oil from the Jubilee field to the Central Oil Refinery for domestic processing as part of efforts to add more value to Ghana's petroleum resources. He says the country's upstream petroleum sector is rebounding, with Jubilee production rising from 60,000 to 85,000 barrels per day, supported by $3.5 billion in new investments, including funding for 20 new wells and additional field development to boost future outputs.
Investments in our upstream petroleum sector also reflect this new optimism. In the upstream industry, we've secured commitments totaling more than $3.5 billion. This includes approximately $2 billion from the Jubilee and 10 partners for drilling up to 20 new wells, as well as $1.5 billion from the OCTP partners to support additional field development and exploration activities. We've also initiated the process for the commercialization of the Afina discovery, approved strategic amendments to the OCTP plan of development to enhance production, and ratified a new petroleum agreement in the offshore Tunnel West Basin to support future reserve growth and long-term production.
However, Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Dr. John Jinapor, said the expansion of Central Oil will also significantly increase employment at the facility, with staff numbers expected to rise from 800 to about 1,500.
We are creating jobs. And from my discussion with the chairman, the employment level will move from about 700 or 800 to 1,500 upon completion of this refinery. That means we are impacting homes. We are also anchoring our economy, protecting ourselves from global shocks, and stabilizing our currency. And so for those of you who think that it's just figures, we are talking of real employment and real jobs for the people of Ghana. And you can also see when it comes to the currency stability, and more importantly, following the developments at the world stage, it is obvious that you are also going to have a positive impact at the pumps.
And that'll be all for business.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Now, on to a news that just came in. The Attorney General, through the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Ramsay, has filed a reply to oppose former Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu's motion on the Supreme Court to review its May 28 orders that fixed July 2 as Judgment Day. The former CJ alleged that the proceedings of the day should be reviewed to factor in her views, which she described as a miscarriage of justice. But the state, through Dr. Ramsay, has filed an opposition to the former Chief Justice's prayer for a review of the court's decision dated May 28, 2026. Now, on May 28, the Supreme Court fixed July 2, 2026, to determine 4 constitutional cases challenging the processes activated to suspend Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu, including the committee that heard the petitions for her removal as Chief Justice. It's time for sports now. In sports, Tunisia's FIFA World Cup campaign came to a disappointing end after suffering a 3-1 defeat to the Netherlands, finishing bottom of Group F without a single point. The North Africans endured a nightmare start, conceding inside the opening 3 minutes. Now, just 4 minutes later, Brian Brobbey doubled the Dutch advantage, leaving Tunisia with a mountain to climb before the match had barely settled. Despite the early setback, Tunisia showed greater determination after the break. The defeat caps off a difficult tournament for Tunisia, which lost all 3 group matches, conceded 12 goals and scored just twice, ending their World Cup journey at the foot of Group F without registering a point. Has made history by qualifying for the FIFA World Cup knockout stage for the first time after defeating Morocco 2-0 in their final Group E match. Needing only a draw to secure qualification, the Elephants instead produced a composed performance to claim all 3 points and book their place in the round of 32. The result also marks the first time the Ivory Coast has won 2 matches at a single World Cup tournament, having failed to progress beyond the group stage in their previous 3 appearances. That's it for sports. It's time for E-Zone. On the entertainment front, Ghanaian DJ, producer and cultural curator DJ Shaggy has achieved a major international milestone as his song Bounce has been selected for the official soundtrack of FIFA Heroes, making it the only African song featured on the game's soundtrack. The selection places Ghana at the center of one of the year's most notable intersections between music and gaming, with FIFA Heroes introducing players worldwide to an entirely Ghanaian creative collaboration. Bounce was created by an all-Ghanaian team, with DJ Shaggy joined by Afro EDM artist Coupel, with production by City and vocal engineering and finishing by Redemption Beat. Together, the team delivered a record whose energy, rhythm, and atmosphere resonated with the FIFA Heroes selection panel. Upcoming Ghanaian artist DK Awisi from Zebula in the Boko West district of the Upper East region says securing collaboration with established musicians remain a major challenge for emerging talent. He also lamented the lack of support for upcoming artists in the Upper East region, particularly the Kusau area, and appealed to individuals, businesses, and other stakeholders to invest in and promote young talent.
Sometimes most of us have the talent, but getting the enough funding to pay for features, production, and video shoots is always the problem. So what I can say is that they should always have maybe Macy on us, or maybe trying to come down with their pricing. And then they should also help and then look up to we the upcoming. The money to support us get bigger features or collaborations is always a problem. The challenges we from the Upper East region, or let me say Zebula to be precise, are facing is lack of support from the rich people, or maybe people that are having the resources. And then let me also say the media, we are also lacking behind. Let me say we don't have proper TV stations or radio stations here that are ready to support talent. As we have the talent, but how we project it out is the big problem. Let me say funding. There is no financial support. That is another issue we are facing as musicians from the Upper East region.
That's it for E-Zone. Let's have international news now. On the international front, rescuers continue the search for survivors trapped beneath collapsed building in Caracas after two powerful earthquakes struck Venezuela on Wednesday. Authorities say at least 235 people have been killed and more than 4,300 injured, with fears that death toll could rise. Thousands have also been displaced or are too afraid to return to damaged homes. A woman has, however, been rescued alive from the rubble, as doctors say the state's two main hospitals are overwhelmed and facing severe shortage of medical supplies. The earthquakes, measuring 7.2 and 7.5 in magnitude, struck just 1 minute apart, with the second being the strongest recorded in Venezuela since 1900. And that's it for Newsroom here on GH1 Television with me, Awisi, Dede, Jangi. Have a wonderful afternoon.